As me, I am a fan of Skyrim. However, with all games that I have favors to, I also have issues with. So don't take this video as me bashing on Skyrim, because I'm honestly not. I'm calling out flaws that I see personally. People's opinions might be different from mine, but I just figured I wanted to call this game out on some penalties. And this comes from, I know this is a random time to really be posting, kind of late considering it's like 2 years old now, but this came from a conversation I was having. We were discussing the end of Game of Thrones, and no, I'm not going to speak about that, but we were comparing Skyrim to this and like saying how cool it would be if Game of Thrones made a game like this. Well, I said, well, it'd be really cool if Skyrim would have been more like Game of Thrones, and I don't mean like verbatim like it, but maybe a darker, more realistic approach to make you give a crap about people. But anyway, I'm gonna get straight to the point with these, well, points rather, because there's 5 issues off the top of my head that I can name that I have with this game that is Skyrim. Storytelling. Overall, the storytelling was pretty bad to me. Most of the stories were unengaging, uninvolving, and they were either too short to really be involving, or they were too long for me just, get to the interesting bits to actually care about what's going on. And sometimes, or more often than not, really, the game doesn't give you any reason to care, about what happens to who, because you don't get to know a whole lot about these people, like what they're like, their interests, their motives. And this doesn't go for every character, but it goes for a good chunk of them. And they didn't really flesh out too many characters that were interesting in this. A lot of them were the generic same freaking deal. And you also have these characters that just don't stand out, and you don't really see them beyond their little tidbits here and there, i.e., when you make friends, their enemies should become yours, and vice versa. So you need to pick and choose your friends carefully and not just befriend everybody and have no real consequences behind that. You should also be allowed to undermine, let's say, an evil bitch like the that Blackbriar woman, Maven, because she pretty much controls the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood. And yet, the best you can do is basically become her pawn in both standards, because you can become the leader of both of them. And at the very least, maybe have you either undermine her to overthrow her, or to maybe take over her spot. Like if you want to go the dark path or the more sinister approach, just say, I'm going to replace her and kill her family or whatever, or get rid of her family by various means because one of her sons is in jail anyways. And if nothing else, you just take a back seat, become a pawn for her, and then you got to think that even if you're not trying to take control, think of the power gap that would emerge. It would make it a little bit more interesting. So, moving on to point two. The hero is perfect, and it seems like just your main character is flawless. Like, there is just nothing your main character cannot do. Regardless of which groups you join, you end up becoming the most gifted one of all. Granted, maybe each of these groups is meant to be joined in different playthroughs, but it still seems like your character has no flaws in terms of ability and potential. I get that they are the Dragonborn, and that should be honestly enough. Them being the Dragonborn should be their reasoning to get them to join, not because they are seemingly the most gifted individual of all time or in the last, X amount of years. And don't take that as me suggesting that there should be classes, but the NPC should be able to judge ability based on your stats. AKA, if you have low and almost unused magic skills like Restoration, Destruction, etc., the mages should be like, well, let's give it a try, see what you got. But if you join them with really high stats, they should point out like, oh wow, you're really good, and you're better than some of us. You're better than some of our more veteran students here. However, being the best at what you are, i.e., if you're a gifted mage, you're good at sneaking, you're good at assassinating, that should not give you the license to just automatically become the leader of the group. Granted, it's not you. It's not you. It's not the player's fault. It's the game developer's fault, because you name it, you become the leader of pretty much all of these guilds, and it's like, how would someone rationally manage that much time? And my point's completely invalid if you're supposed to do a multitude of playthroughs, join each group an individual one. If you want to join all of them at once, you can join them all at once. But the idea, I guess, would be to make you join one at a time. Like Thieves Guild would be one playthrough, the Dark Brotherhood another, the Companions another one. I just don't like that you can play all of these groups and become the leader of all of them. Does it always have to have that outcome? And then the third one, Stormcloaks and Imperial conflict has no real lasting effects. Now, okay, after the war is over, obviously Skyrim has changed forever, one way or the other. But as you explore Skyrim, its holes and towns, they're virtually untouched. Not many civilians die, and it seems like the families, like the blood, or the Battleborns and the Greymanes just ignore each other as opposed to conspiring to kill one another and take each other out to make their side stronger. And honestly, the whole thing with the Greymane son getting captured by the Thalmor because the Patriarch pretty much ratted him out or whatever, that doesn't count. that's half-assing it, in my opinion. That in the game by default makes the Stormcloaks the more viable option anyway, since the Imperials tried to off you at the get-go. That, and honestly, neither side, if I'm being honest, neither side seems really viable or worthwhile. I mean, I almost think you should be able to make your own third faction. And, oh, what else? So, I mean, I guess I would just say, so why not just go with the guys that at least didn't try to utterly butcher you off the bat just because of a misunderstanding? Granted, that one guy did try to kind of help you out, but that doesn't speak much for the general that was like, oh, well, we weren't supposed to kill him? Okay, well, yeah, let him go. You know, if he's not a Stormcloak or a Rebel or whatever, yeah, let him go. Or ask me what am I being accused of in the first place? Like, what have I done? But you think about it, how awesome would this be? If because of your Dark Brotherhood experience, for example, one side would hire you for those particular skills. Like, let's say you join the Dark Brotherhood and you do a lot of contracts, and you get a good reputation, like you don't get caught, you haven't failed a quest, and they're like, we know you're a good assassin, so we're going to hire you on that. We need you to take this guy out, that girl out, this Jarl, that advisor, and just kind of both of them try to get you to join, and they offer you different things, and so you can kind of weigh your options on, who do I support, who do I not support? Well, they're going to give me this, well, they're going to give me that. Or you can play them against each other if you want to. Or if you're a thief and there's a mosquito flying around, or if you're a thief, sorry, I'm like staring at this thing because I have this paranoia about mosquitoes. But anyways, or if you're a thief, and I've said that like 3 times now, that you're able to, like, okay, we need you to steal this because it would be a significant morale drop for them. Like, you have to steal a banner, you have to steal a standard, you have to steal a very coveted item of somebody, and they take it like it's an ill omen that, oh, crap, my thing is gone. I should probably change the way I'm doing things. It's a sign that the gods are not favoring me, the Talos isn't favoring me, or what have you. And then consequences of your actions. You get many decisions, but they don't really make an impact on the long-term game flow. Now, in the immediate quest line, like the Thieves Guild quest line, the decisions you make affect that quest line, but they don't reflect on the other things. And even the main quest line doesn't affect anything beyond its own little confinement. Now, granted, you don't really get much of a reputation from any of that unless you commit crime, and only the guards really make comments on the things that you do. I think some of the merchants will, but everyday citizens, like just the random people you run into, seem to be 100% aloof to you being like, you know, an Archmage, the Dragonborn, or a companion member. And I guess it would be obvious that the Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild kind of keep their field operatives a secret. Like, they don't just up and real, oh yeah, I'm with this, I'm with that, or whatever. Hence why, you know, they wear like the cowls and the hoods and all the other things that like conceal them. But then again, how would the guards know? And if they know, wouldn't they try to warn people so that their people that they're trying to protect kind of know, like, oh, hey, if you see this guy, let us know. He's a wanted criminal, blah, blah, blah. And either way, wouldn't they just, like, freak the hell out? Like, oh, you know, if they've wronged somebody, they're like, oh, crap, please don't kill me. I'll offer you double whatever, you know, he's offering you. And you could maybe even trick them into, like, paying you money to go kill the other guy. Or hell, even like I would have liked to see like a merchant that's like, yeah, I'm in this town, and there's these other merchants competing against me, and their products, I'll admit, are better than mine. So you can either go to the Thieves Guild approach and say, I want you to steal all of their stuff, and I want you to bring me a copy of it so that I can, you know, do this. Or you can do the whole ledger balancing thing, you just screw up their ledger. Or do the Assassin's Guild approach and just kill the merchant, and then, you know, it's like, oh, my competition just seems to be dying. I don't know what's going on. But, you know, in the end, it's like none of the things you do really have any lasting impact on anybody. It's like nobody knows what you've done except for the people in the immediate quest line. Thieves Guild, for example, everybody in the Thieves Guild knows whatever. The guards know whatever. But everybody else, it's like, huh? You did? Oh, okay, and not even that. And now the final point is, last but not least, it should have had, not necessarily a darker, I know I put darker on there, but not necessarily a darker, but more maybe realistic approach. Like, there should have been more casualties of the war itself. Like Skyrim, it shouldn't have been, like, completely obliterated, but it should have had, I don't know, just like some impact, like some destroyed villages, because you only have one that gets destroyed, and that's because of the dragon. And even then, it's like, is this war really hurting Skyrim at all? I mean, yeah, it has Imperials and Stormcloaks butting heads here and there, little skirmishes, or if you get a mod, you can have it some like full-scale battles going on. But in the end, either the dragons or the war really affect Skyrim one way or the other. Because I mean, honestly, what did Alduin do up until the end? What did he do that really just made you go, oh shit, the dragons are back? Oh god, what do we do? And I had this idea, and this kind of comes off as like a bit of a Game of Thrones ripoff. Oops, didn't mean for my cursor to get all up in there. But let's say, for example, you have the player potentially arbitrate alliances, maybe condone backstabbing. It's like, you choose who you want to support, and in turn they kind of refer you up their chain until you get to the big guy. And, perhaps in a twist of fate, you could actually take their position and become the High Queen or King or whatever. And now here's the setting. It's kind of a rough draft, honestly. All right. The High King dies under odd circumstances, aka some suspect just random assassins. Some blame the Thalmor, others blame the Empire due to a bad relationship between the King and the Empire, aka the Empire was doing things that the King didn't agree with, and the King was doing things that the Empire was like, hey, why are you doing this? And this just causes like some dissension, and while not necessarily an open civil war, at least just outright at the beginning, maybe later down the line, civil war erupts. It creates a power vacuum where the Jarls would try to kind of go at each other politically, maybe support their allies. Like, hey, if I support you as king, will you kind of elevate my status? Oh, sure, yeah, just support me and, help me bring my other adversaries down. And, hey, we can totally be partners in this deal, and I'll make sure you're freaking rewarded for supporting me. And this also opens the window more for the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood to have a bigger part of the story, because their businesses are going to be booming from this thing. And it wouldn't just be limited to the Earls either. It could be like the Blackbriars are trying to go for it. Some of the other rich families are going for it. Because, like in Game of Thrones, I know I'm using Game of Thrones as like a big example here, but Peter Baelish, he's not a noble, but he's gunning for the throne. And he's rich, he's got good contacts, he's got good, reliable friends he can call upon to do him favors. And they know that he will back them if he becomes king or whatever. And, let's see what else. And then you could also set the mages as potential suspects if the former king was like, yeah, I'm against mages. I want nothing to do with you guys. And then they take that as, oh, he's gonna like undermine us, so maybe they assassinate the king. What it would boil down to though is who did it. I don't know who I would pin as the killer. I mean, the Thalmor would be too easy. It'd be too obvious. The way I would see it is, it should be somebody else, but they just capitalize on the whole thing going on. They're like, oh, hey, look, the Empire's, having some issues down here. Let's go have some fun and get involved ourselves and maybe help spread this thing so that the Empire suffers while we kind of benefit. But all the while, they're pulling the guys of, oh, yeah, we're here to help. We're here to kind of calm the situation down, when in reality, they're trying to, like, figure out, whoa, what the hell's going on? And then they see the dragon, like, oh, hey, dragon, whoa. Yeah, what the hell is going on here? And you could put it at, I wouldn't say Alduin was behind it, because that would be stupid, because why wouldn't he just fly in and like barbecue the king? Why would he have to rely on assassins? That'd just be silly. I guess maybe you could have the Dark Brotherhood be the main, like they were hired by somebody, and then from there, I guess it would all come down to what kind of characters you would design from there, and then that would be it. And you would have to make it one of the more least likely people. You can't make it the most likely person. And you have to kind of like make their motives kind of get revealed later on down the line. And so you're like digging through, you're getting to know people, and you're trying to figure out, okay, who would have the motive to kill the king? Not necessarily the most obvious one, but like who would have a legit incentive? Like, let's say you have this guy, he's real nice, he's real cool, but if the king died, his position would be elevated like dramatically, and that the king had favored other people over him, despite that he, maintained his loyalty. He did a lot of good things for the king, but if the king died, he would benefit the most from it. And this is just my way of looking at it. And that I can't belittle the game for not taking this approach necessarily, but this is something that I feel like it should have made, in general, a more realistic approach. Not necessarily mine, not necessarily what I just said, but a more gritty. Make the war for like the war that's going on in Skyrim, make me feel like I'm actually in the middle of this war-torn country, instead of just, here and there and over there, and just, oh, okay, yeah, there's some Stormcloaks and Imperials fighting, okay, cool. Oh, there's a fort over there, the bandits own. And did you ever notice that most of the bandits own the forts? But I'm going off topic here, but that's just how I feel. That's honestly how I feel about it. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree with my points, if you disagree, by all means disagree with me. If you really think that what I'm saying is completely bullshit, by all means call me out on it. But this is just 5 issues I have with the game. And granted, if I didn't love the game, I wouldn't be making a video about it. And I wouldn't be sitting here trying to like defend it and maybe get it, maybe open the possibility for maybe Elder Scrolls 6 to be like a darker game. Not darker, I shouldn't say darker. It doesn't necessarily have to be dark to be realistic, and vice versa. But a more like, make me feel like the environment is really like just ravaged by this war, and that this dragon looming over has really just got everybody on fucking edge. Like they're just about to lose their minds. Like the citizens are terrified. It's like, oh, there's a war going on. Oh shit, there's dragons too. Oh god, what do we do? It's a sign that the Armageddon is coming, and that can make people do some crazy shit. It can make them. It can make banditry skyrocket. It can make killing, just all kinds of stuff happen. It should have been a more chaotic tone, but it didn't have that chaotic tone that it really had the potential to be. So, yeah, I've rambled on enough here. So let me know what you guys think, and leave your thoughts and comments below. So I will see you all around.